in the existing system. So the right is often focused on individual responsibility. If the system is right, it is working right, you need to work harder. You need to raise yourself up by your bootstraps. You need to fix yourself. So in general, many religious organizations, religious traditions tend to be on the right. Because this is something which has worked in the past, this is ancient, this is time honored, and it is you who need to fit into this. So the right is concerned about the individual contributing to the whole. So the right is concerned about what is right with the existing system. The left is concerned with those who are left out by the existing system. Every system will leave out something. So the left says the system needs to change. So left is all about social change, social justice. Now who is right? Does the individual need to change or the system need to change? It depends. It depends, isn't it? That sometimes the individual needs to change to fit into the system. Sometimes the system is unfair, sometimes the system needs to be changed. So dharma can be both ways. It is not only one thing. So when we are facing a difficult situation, this might seem to be a tangent, but I'll bring it back to what we are trying to say, what we're trying to discuss over here, that dharma is not a very simple concept, that, okay, these are your elders, respect them. This is the way society does function, this is the way you have to function always. That's not necessarily dharma. Dharma involves harmonious belonging. Harmonious belonging means that the individual and the whole both need to reciprocate. The individual contributes to the whole contributes to the individual. So now what does this mean? Let me give some examples to illustrate this point. Yesterday I told about how I got polio because I was given a faulty vaccine. So I have an uncle in America, one of the early persons, this was 1970s, one of the early people who came to America from India. And he had already imbibed the American spirit. So he told my father, the first thing is that you should sue the doctor who gave the vaccine. Now, my father is one of the most peaceful persons I know. His favorite verse from the Bhagavad Gita is Sthita Pragya. Just stay peaceful. He said, the Indian legal system is such that even if we sue, probably the court case will come for hearing by the time we are grown old. And he said, already the polio has happened, what can we do about it? He said, let me focus on taking care of my son. And they worked very hard to try to help me recover, to do some exercise. So I am functional, to some extent at least. But that's what he decided. So, okay, this is the system, we fit into the system. But I have a friend in Florida, and when his wife was expecting a child, some complication happened, so she was taken to the ICU. And then there was some medical negligence, because of which when the baby was born, the baby had cerebral palsy and several other issues. So he's my godbrother. We have the same spiritual master. So he wrote to Radhanath Maharaj, my spiritual master, and asked him, Maharaj, what has happened? Should I accept it as my past karma? Or should I sue the doctor, sue the hospital for what has happened? So Maharaj told him that, yes, what has happened, you have to accept that. At the same time, you also need to accept the responsibility of taking care of your daughter. And if you can get some support for taking care of your daughter, you should seek that support. So he sued the hospital, and because it was a clear case of medical, not malpractice, but negligence, the hospital itself settled outside court, and he has got a fairly good financial arrangement for the care of his daughter lifelong. Now, of course, that does not undo the fact that she will have a very limited ability to function in this life. But the point is that in America, the legal system is slightly different. So where we can, if the larger whole has done something wrong to us, it's not just we have to tolerate it, we can fix it. America is probably one of the most litigious countries in the world. I was in LA and I saw a big hoarding with only 3 words in it. Who hurt you? Only 3 letters over there. So now, that means that dharma Is it the dharma means, okay, whatever bad has happened, accept it? Or dharma means whatever bad has happened, fight against it? Well, it depends. It depends on what the larger whole is and how we belong to it. So dharma is that way, dharmasya tattvam nihitam gupayam. It's complex and it depends on many factors. But the important thing is that whatever larger unit we decide to belong to, we need to belong harmonious. So if say many of you are Indians over here, you may have felt that okay, in India there's not that much possibility for financial growth or other kinds of prospects are not, so career prospects are not that good. So you decided to come abroad, you came to Canada, right? So you were a part of one whole, now you come to another whole. And whichever larger whole we are a part of, we need to belong harmoniously there. We do our part there and the larger whole does something for us. So dharma is in that sense reciprocity. So the key point in this is that when the right says it is individual responsibility, so this broadly aligns with two schools of thought in the Vedic tradition. What Lakshman and Ram were discussing. So there are two schools of thought. That one is Daivavad and the other is Karmavad. So Daivavad holds that we all have our destiny and everything is destined. People sometimes say that everything is written in the finger, in your palms. Well, that's not completely true. We have a destiny, no doubt. And that past karma baggage is fixed. However, what happens in our life is not determined only by our past karma. It is also determined by our present karma. So now the other extreme is Karmavad. Karmavad is everything is determined by our actions. By actions means our present actions. So you work hard and you will succeed. So now to a large extent, the Western world has more or less aligned with the idea of Karmavad. You work and you will succeed. And to a large extent, the Eastern world was aligned with the idea of Daivavad. Okay, what is destined will happen. Now both of them are partly right. See, what happens is with Karmavad, we can make a lot of physical change and physical progress. Nothing is destined. You work hard, you will succeed. That's how we develop technology, we have made so many astonishing advancements. But the problem is if you adhere to Karmavad too much, then if somebody works hard and does not succeed, then it is your problem. You are wrong. No, I did everything right, but still not succeeding. Then what happens is when we don't get success, then we start beating ourselves up mentally quite a bit. But there is physical progress, but quite often there is mental regress. Regress means there is agitation. Because why? If everything, all success is determined by my own work, and if I'm working, I'm not getting success, then what does it mean? So either something is wrong with the world or something is wrong with me. And both of them are very difficult to live with. So we see this paradox that although there's a lot of progress in the world now at a physical level, stress, anxiety, depression, all these are increasing. Because when something doesn't work, we overreact. We think, oh, life is ruined, I am ruined, things are jinxed. Just go to the other extreme. That's how people get into depression. Yesterday I talked about, remember, situations are reversible. Situations lead to emotions. Emotions are also reversible. But sometimes we may take decisions. And those decisions can be irreversible. So we don't want that. So for example, everybody will face loss in their life. Now loss, we may lose a job, we may lose a limb in an accident, we may lose a loved one, we may lose a relationship. It's painful. But we can process a loss in many different ways. I have lost. This is the most objective. In the Gita's philosophy, Gita's analysis will be subtle. I am lost. This is much more disorienting. Somebody invests their whole life in a particular career, a particular job, and then they just lose that, not just that particular job, but lose that career itself. What am I going to do? So this is much more damaging. This is rajas. But what am I talking about here? How do we interpret loss? How do we emotionally process loss? Now the most damaging is, I am a loser. This is tamas. Now when somebody starts interpreting things like this, no, I am a loser, that can be devastating. If we were in a relationship with someone who we thought was a loser, then we would want to break up, end that relationship as quickly as possible. But if we think we are a loser, then can we break up with ourselves? We can't. Or can we? In many ways, suicide is a tragic attempt to break up with oneself. And I often speak in colleges and universities. So it's tragic sometimes students, because of too much pressure, end their lives. Now, while this whole phenomena is it's a tragic thing, but broadly, what I've seen in India, it is more because of academic pressure. That students may end their life. And as parents, we want our children to do well. At the same time, we have to make sure that we don't let our children's self-worth become equated with only their marks. Because if they don't do well, it's a problem, but it is not the end of the world. So we have to see how they are processing loss. So I am a loser is a very toxic way of processing. In the West, I have not seen Western students ending their lives because of academic pressure so much. They think job and career don't seem to be that important. When I came to America, I've been coming here for 10 years. I noticed that in India, if Indians lose a job, it's a huge problem. I don't even want to tell my family I lost my job. But many Westerners, they don't even say I'm jobless. I'm between jobs. It's like, okay, I'm here, I'm between jobs. So it's important. And now there is a reason for it. Historically, India has had much more population, much more financial struggles. In the West, there is generally some kind of social security or social arrangement people are taken care of. It's curious in America that the unemployed people are the most obese. Now, I don't know how it is in Canada. There are many reasons, but one of them is that the food that they get is not a very healthy food. Through soup kitchens, they get food, and that's quite fatty. But anyway, the point is that people can. So in the West, if young people end their lives, it's not so much because of academic pressure, it's often because of romantic loss. They identify their self-worth with the relationship. And if they are rejected, if they are ghosted or something, I'm a loser. So this is something, sometimes what happens to us is not about us. We could say it's our own past karma. That's a different thing. There's nothing that we could have done right now to fix the situation. So this is the extreme, that dharma, if it goes towards extreme, everything is written by your present actions. Sometimes, no, the system is such that you can't do anything about it. And things just don't work despite our best efforts. We need to accept that. On the other hand, Daivavad, what it leads to is, it leads to physical regress or stagnation. So, India for many centuries did not really progress. There has never been in the history of the world anything like the British rule of India. What do I mean by that? So few people ruling so many people for so long. India had become used to being ruled by foreigners because of the prolonged Islamic rule. And when the British came, the British, even at the height of the British Empire, there were only very few thousand Britishers were there in India. And Indians were millions. So what? It's to a large Daivavad. Okay, this is what is meant to happen. But what happens with Daivavad is, there is certain level of mental peace. Because we are not filled with resentment. Why did this happen? Why did this happen?